Hi, this is Dr. Otto Janke for you, and thank you for being with us on the Empire Longevity's Longevity Live. Something a little different for you tonight. We're going to be doing I want to do a PowerPoint for you, quite frankly, because what I want to show you, I can talk about it, but I think it's going to be much, much better for you if I can actually show you. So I want to show you, I'm going to try to find a better place for me with me. I think I'm up in the corner for you, but I'm going to try to dance around on this. This is the Empire Longevity's Longevity Live. It is Wednesday, April 4th. Holy guacamole, it's already April. And I want to talk to you tonight about stress. Now, this type of stresses that most people talk about are the detrimental types of stresses. But tonight we're going to talk about the good stress that no one talks about. And I think you're hopefully going to find this fascinating. So when we hear about stresses, I'm going to try to minimize myself up here. You're going to know me. You're going to know I'm here pretty easily. We hear about how the stress kills, and I don't know about you, but especially the last 2 years, I felt like this guy was a lot of the time. Like my head is just going to blow off, and I don't know what's going on. And my dear Lord, it is getting bad. And what possibly could have been helping me to have these stresses? What was the cause behind this? Well, for some of us, it's going to be the job. And for a lot of us, it was the job, or maybe the lack of job, or not knowing what my job is, or am I going to have a job, or where's my job at, or what I got to do what now? And with that goes the finances. We saw a lot of people over the last 2 years, especially, who are just stressed dramatically about their finances. Maybe it's your family. Maybe someone in your family got ill, or that there's changes in your family. Maybe someone else is stressed and it's causing you stresses, because as we know, in the beehive effect of stresses, that if there's 1,000 bees in the hive and only 100 of them are actually stressed, because of our proximity and our vibration, our communication, all of us are stressed somehow in that hive. So for us, it might be because we are close to people, and even though we have people from around the country or around the world who are following us, they can be stressed too because of us, because of our communication. Now with this type of technology, we're a lot closer than we used to be, and we can actually inadvertently share that stresses. We see it all the time. You know, maybe the pandemic is something that really stressed you out with the unknowing of what's going on, the uncertainties of it. Maybe you were someone who did get sick. Maybe it's the war. Maybe it's the weather. Maybe it's the government. Maybe it's the kids. Hard to believe. Oh, and did I mention the job? Did I mention any of that? As you can see, it's rarely ever just one stress. It's usually a number of stresses along the way that get us feeling just like this guy. And we can do, I mean, you and I both know we can do a 10-hour talk just on the stresses that we have on a regular basis. It's really amazing. And it's rarely one thing. It's usually a combination of things that really push us, that really, really push us. And when it happens, how does it affect us? Well, you look at this chart very simply. In the short term, we have feelings of being worried, nervous, or unable to turn this stuff off. My heartbeat is going to be harder and faster. And because of that, I'm in a fight or flight stance. My nervous system thinks I'm being attacked because of the stresses. This is incredible to think about, that my body, my nervous system thinks I'm under attack. So my heart races, or my heartbeat goes up. My pulse will go up. So my body can get the blood to my extremity organs in case I need to fight or flight or flee. My breathing is going to get quicker, and so I can get more oxygen around my body. Again, you're in a state of fight or flight. If the bear was in the room, what would happen to you if the bear was in the room? And we really have to start thinking about it like that. If the bear was in the room, that's how these stresses affect us. It's very, very common that you have digestive issues. Your nervous system says that function is no longer a primary function for us. So what's going on? We're not going to be functioning correctly, and we end up with stomach issues. I mean, how many of you have ever had a stomach problem, a digestive problem when you are stressed. Happens all the time. Your skin becomes more sensitive and oily. Isn't that just wild? You may have sexual problems. Well, here's the reality. If the bear's in the room, you're not really concerned about sex, right? And then your muscles tense up as they're preparing to make a run for it, to have to fight. In the long term, we see it's not unusual to see the tension migraines. I mean, the stress that goes on and holding yourself in this position, we're going to see the stress of the muscles like this. It's not unusual for knowing that many headaches originate from a dysfunction in the cervical spine and neck spine, that we're going to start to see headaches. We do see mental health problems. I mean, we see it around us all the time now with the over 2 years of the pandemic in America. I mean, when we have measured your heart rate variability, we started seeing an increase in stress in the fight or flight and the sympathetic drive of our patients back in the fall of 2016. So for some of our practice members, we're going on 6 years of being like this. It's a long time, and it weighs on us, and we have mental health problems. We start to have heart conditions going on. Your heart just can't be beating that hard for that long. Trouble breathing, hyperventilation, and panic attacks, not unusual. If you think there is a bear in the room, imagine if you thought the bear was in the room. Your skin and hair conditions, you're going to have acne, maybe even hair loss, increased risk of type 2 diabetes. And then once again, fertility problems for men and women. Again, how it affects us from WebMD, we start to see the headaches, upset stomach, the high blood pressure, chest pain, and problems with sex and sleep. How could you possibly be sleeping correctly if you thought there was a bear in the room? Weakened immune system. Again, we started to see people who had their foot on the gas pedal since 2016. Now they've been doing this for so long, they actually fatigue. They actually fatigue, and their nervous system is fatiguing. How do I know? We measure people. Well, and here's the thing: if you're looking for someone to do that measuring, that heart rate variability testing, send me an email, and I'll do my best to find someone for you. I'll leave an email for you later on. But we start to see their whole nervous system begins to fatigue. Then you can't even mount a charge versus any bug. High stress, that comes from the Portland Clinic, and from Women's Health. The high stress levels can raise your blood pressure and your heart rate. We've seen that. And then from the APA.org, it affects your respiratory and cardiovascular systems, can trigger heart attacks, arrhythmias, and even sudden death when we have these stresses. These are the stresses we talk about all the time. We talk about how they've been absolutely added on, and just a summation of all these stresses all the time. It is all around us. And the good and bad of it all, when we have the stress, very, very commonly, we're going to call it distress, such as in chiropractic, we see when we have these nervous system miscommunications in the body doesn't go from good to diseased right away. It goes to a level of dis-ease. I mean, it doesn't move as well. It doesn't breathe as well. It doesn't function as well. So there's actually a lack of ease of doing things, of maybe having an immune system that can respond as well. And so you go from dis-ease to disease. Well, you can go from distress into distress. And so it's another function. It's another step away to get there. And we're going to typically call that bad stress distress. On the other hand, a term for the good stress is eustress, eustress. And there's a new term, and I'm going to unveil to you tonight. I hope you've heard of this. If you have not, awesome. And it's this. The new term for you is hormetic stress. Hormetic stress. Big term I want you to understand, because we're going to dive into this tonight. And for the next number of minutes, I'm really going to talk about hormetic stresses. And this is a term I want you to understand, because stress is not our enemy. Distress in the long term, absolutely is our enemy. In the short term, our body should be able to handle a lot of these things. The problem is many times it becomes a chronic situation, and our body can handle a short-term fight or flight. That's short-term sympathetics. And when it becomes chronic, then we have big problems. But we can also start looking into hormetic stresses. Now, I want you to understand this is super, super key for us. So we look at hormetic stresses. This is going to be our definition for tonight of a hormetic stress. Is the ideal level of exposure to stressors. You say, what? Explains a paper published in the journal Aging Research Reviews. Underexposure to stress could leave your body unchallenged, while overexposure could lead to health problems. Hormetic stress is that sweet spot in between, not too much, not too little. It's that stress in between where it's actually going to be productive for us and where that stress could be beneficial. Now, this is a whole different other thinking for us, and especially in America, because we've only been taught and educated, led to believe there's only one type of stress, and that's a bad stress. But what if we had stresses, if we could manage them and have a controlled arena in which we have them, they could actually be beneficial for us. They could actually help us be healthier and really progress that longevity so that our decades are becoming our next best decades. Now, what am I talking about? Cool. So stress can be beneficial. Well, on one hand, you're saying absolutely not, but let's be realistic. What about this type of stress? Yeah, here's a crazy thing. You're a longevity insider. I guarantee you the vast majority of all of you do this stuff on a regular basis. You exercise. Exercising is a form of hormetic stress. If you do it a whole bunch, we know that if you do it really just insanely amounts of it, that it actually can be detrimental to you. We know that if you stress, if you work out extremely hard, that your immune system actually goes down for a short period of time. That's not my opinion. I mean, it's well proven. And we know that you can actually exercise so much and that you can actually start to injure yourself and never give yourself an opportunity to properly heal and get better again. It's kind of crazy. But to think about this, that stress, that exercise is actually a form of stress to the body. Well, of course it is. If you are someone who wants to start jogging, well, you start jogging, what's one of the first things that happens to you? Well, you start breathing really hard. Why? Because you're stressing the body. And your whole goal is to be able to run longer and hopefully faster, for longer and faster. Well, to do that, you have to actually stress your body to do that. You know, when you start exercising and you start lifting and you're going to do this, well, the muscles are sore. And in the short term, you're actually doing some stress to the muscles. As you regain better motion, make them stronger, get better linkages between the fibrin and actin, you get that stuff all working better. But to do that, you actually have to stress your muscles. Fantastic to even think about, isn't it? That on a regular basis, I mean, I stressed myself tremendously this morning, and I love it. I'm better off during my day when I go exercise hard in the morning. I think better. I'm in a better mood. I move better. I eat better. My emotions, I'm better. And I know by doing this now, and I've been doing this for decades, I've set myself up for decades to come. If we look at one of my favorite books, The Blue Zones, we know that those people do some form of physical exercise. They may not call it exercise. Some do long hikes and walks. So they don't go necessarily to a gym or to a spa or have a trainer, but they do some form of physical exercise on a daily basis. Again, the magical number you should be hitting is 150 minutes a week of moderate exercise. And moderate is, my dear Lord, it's moderate walking. 30 minutes of moderate walking 5 times a week, and you have reached the American goal. Oddly, 25% of Americans don't even reach that. So this is a form of stress. And I want you to understand that this is a form of stress. Awesome. As many of these things do, I have a couple of panels coming up. As many of these things do, they actually improve your immune system. They improve the way you move. This decreases inflammation, even though in the long term, even though in the short term, it increases inflammation. This can regulate hormones, the way you think, your emotions, digestion. Absolutely fantastic. It's a hormetic stressor that I recommend you do daily. It's amazing we start to open up your eyes to this, and we can start seeing that we have stresses that we can do on a regular basis that are actually beneficial for us. Wow. How about this guy? Do you know who this is? This is Wim Hof. I recommend you look up Wim Hof, and the way you spell his name is W-I-M, last name Hoff, H-O-F-F. He's called the Iceman. Look up the Iceman. Wim Hof is a very unique person in that he can go in these and do this ice water plunge. As you can see, this is not just a tub. This is, knowing him, probably an ocean or a sea or a lake or something. And he is submerged in the water. He will tell you that this type of stress actually, and this is easily scientifically, you can see the research on this, easily improves your immune system, decreases inflammation greatly. I was talking with one of my patients today, an athlete. They were talking about what should you do afterwards? Should you have ice? Should he, because he has some chronic pain going on right now, should he use heat or ice? I said, always, when in doubt, ice it out. I said, you ever seen those pro athletes when they go in that ice tub right after? He goes, yeah. I said, why do you think this? Decrease the inflammation. Absolutely. This is actually going to improve your immune system. It will be massively cold. Absolutely. But Wim Hof shows over and over again, by being able to use a very controlled stress to the body, we're going to improve your longevity. It's phenomenal. I've done 2 polar bear plunges so far. One was at 35 degrees at Yemen Park, a local park in my small town. And the next year was a balmy summer, like 39 degrees. The first year, it was intimidating, to say the least. The night before, it had snowed sideways. And I was like, oh boy, here we go. And the next morning I got up, and it was actually, it had that blanket of snow over the top of everything. And I got up early. I had some hours in my office, and it was absolutely quiet. It was absolutely beautifully quiet. You hear a bird or two, and the sun was shining. It was bright off of the snow. But I went and saw patients, went down to the Yemen Park where we had the plunge, and they had a backhoe, had carved out a path down to the water, and then had to scoop out ice. And while you're in there, they had a New York State police cold water frogman on the beach, and then one in the water, just in case, which makes you feel very, very secure about this. But they've shown we are not the first people to do this. This has been done for hundreds, if not thousands of years by Scandinavian people who live way up north. And they do this because it's rejuvenated, massively rejuvenating. It's a controlled hormetic stress. Absolutely phenomenal for you. I like this stuff. I like it. And then you look at this one. I brought this picture specifically, but sauna or steam. You go into those rooms and it is a stress to you. You start sweating like it's like you bought the job, and your heart rate might go up a little bit. You become fatigued, and being in there for a while, first of all, has shown to improve your immune system. Your circulation gets better. You're going to be able to sweat out some stresses, sweat out some stresses, and sweat out some calories. Absolutely. It's a hormetic stress. What's crazy about this picture is I've never had, I mean, first of all, I've never seen women in the places I'm at, and they're, no one's ever smiling. No one's ever like, oh, that's a great story. You're in there going like, oh man. But being in the sauna or steam, absolutely phenomenally great for you. It's a hormetic stress. You do this for a controlled time, your body gets better. You want to get nuts about things? Let's see if I can do this. You do that one, and then do that one. Holy guacamole, your body's going, woo! Absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal. And they've had the people who've gone from a steam into and rolling in the snow. It'll wake you up a little bit. When you get down with an ice plunge, like a ice plunge, I think phenomenally great. Clear, so clear. There's no pain either. There's no pain. And this one, fasting. Fasting is actually a hormetic stress. When done correctly, it's not good for you. It's phenomenal for you. I like to do fasting. And so I change it up. I may eat a little breakfast and have a really good lunch, and then just have something small later in the day, but that's it. I don't have 3 meals a day. I want to send my body into what's called autophagy, AUTO, autography, GRAPHY, autography, autophagy. No, I didn't do that right. Excuse me, auto, PHAGY. Eat, phagy, to eat. Your body eats itself. And what it does is your cells, your cells, the big macrophages, go around your body and they find the cells that are diseased or injured. And your body says, I'm going to take care of those before they become a problem. How cool is that? Well, your body does that when you're in a fasting state. And the typical number, I believe, is like around 12 to 16 hours is your sweet spot for fasting, is when you really start to kick that in. I've done 3 and 5 day fasts many times. What's amazing is after you get through that first day, the first day might be a little tough because you have, I call them the screaming meanies, your soft addictions. It might be the caffeine. For many of us, it's going to be the sugars. And your body goes like, hey, dude, what are you doing? Hey, let's get some of that stuff. And once you get past that, the second day you wake up, you go like, wow, I'm doing pretty good. Third day, you say, I feel better. I'm moving better. I'm thinking better. I may never eat food again, truthfully. But fasting is a fantastic thing to reset your body. And it's another thing that people have done all over the world for many, many years. I'm not talking 20, I'm talking for hundreds of years. And they've done it for life extension, for longevity. If we look at Walter Longo he wrote the book, hold on. He wrote the book, The Longevity Diet. And I'm going to be posting something about the longevity diet coming up this week. And he looks at intermittent fasting. In intermittent fasting, instead of fasting the whole day, you eat for 8 hours and you don't eat for the next 16, 24, something like that. We're 8 and 16. And so you eat for 8 hours, you get all your calories that time, and you don't eat the rest of the time. You would think you'd be starving, and you're not. You can get the great quality, and this is the key thing about it. You get great quality nutrients and not just calories also. Fantastic. But fasting has been done, all of these things have been done for mankind over and over and over again. And especially all four of these have been shown to actually be an important step for you to be around for more decades to come. Again, in Empire Longevity, we don't want you to be just around. We want you to be not just living, but to be fully alive during that time also. Fully alive for those next decades. Absolutely fully alive and participating in our lives, our communities, and our businesses, all of that. That's Empire Longevity. And how can we help you do that? Well, we start to take small things like this, a regular exercise program, maybe go and do a cold plunge or a sauna or steam on a regular basis, and fasting. What fasting really does for me is it really makes me take a better look at what I eat and having some discipline along the way. Ooh, the big D word, discipline. Absolutely. Absolutely. But fasting is simple. Do you know how much it costs? I know. So these are all stresses to your body that can work for you and improve you. This is not new age stuff. Fasting has been done for mankind. Motion, movement has been done for mankind. There have been some people somewhere who have always done a ice or polar plunge of some kind. And there's always been someone somewhere who's done the heat stuff, the saunas or steams. And you just feel great when you do that. And again, it shows your body that and the studies have been done on all of those, that your immune system gets better when you do them. Now, of course, with the stresses for the same as the exercise, you wouldn't go exercise endlessly or do it for hard for hours on end. You wouldn't do an ice plunge unless you're Wim Hof for hours on end. You wouldn't do the steam or saunas, and you wouldn't do a fast endlessly also. You would do it controlled. And you follow how you do that. You always take consideration of yourself and take measurements along the way, which means follow your body. If your body says it's time's up, it's time up, it's time up. When you do a plunge or you do a sauna steam. But these are all things which have been shown to improve your immune system and push your longevity. And they're really kind of cool things to do. If you don't exercise, please start. You just start by walking. Start by making a goal of walking. Your goal is going to be 30 minutes a day, a minimum of 30 minutes a day. So start off, if you don't walk at all, start off with doing 10 minutes. I had one patient who she had a long driveway and I had her walk to the mailbox and back. And that was her start of her exercise. Then I had to do it 2 or 3 times a day, then 5. And she said, I think I can go around the block. She went around the block and we started that way. If you don't exercise, please, I'm going to be selfish with your and my time together. But to do that, we got to be here. You and I got to be here to be able to do that and then be at our best so we can enjoy it the most. If you've never done a polar bear plunge, we should do one for Empire Longevity. See, maybe I'll set that up next year. It might actually be cold enough still here. It might be cold enough here. Maybe we'll do a polar bear plunge. How cool would that be? That'd be cool. I might think about doing it. I might set that up. Guys, you also got to sign waivers. And steams, saunas, absolutely. I was up at Turning Stone Casino for our mid-year or state mid-year convention. Did sauna, steam, then cold shower. Sauna, steam, cold shower. I was ready to go. Then I got an 80-minute massage, and holy cow! I apologized before I went in there because I knew I was going to be snoring. I did. But then fasting also. Absolutely, the discipline of fasting. Not only does it make your body feel good, it makes your mind feel good because you could do it. This is all great stuff. Absolutely, just all great stuff. And so stress does not mean distress. Now it can mean eustress, or even we start getting the terms of hormetic stresses. And it can mean a healthier you for decades to come. And so let's focus on that part of stresses. If you ever need any help or you want to contact me, it's Otto at empirelongevity.com. Otto, O-T-T-O. My parents weren't concerned. They were concerned that I might not be so smart. So they gave me an easy name. That's what my brothers told me. 2 words for you. Live young. Live young. Let's help you to live young. I'm coming up on 60 this year. I'm still going to be living young. Live young, baby. Come on, baby. I'm Dr. Otto Janke for Empire Longevity's Longevity Live. Thank you for being with me tonight. If I can ever be of service to you, always feel free to email me, Otto at empirelongevity.com. This is what we're here for. We're here to help you. Let's do that a little bit more, okay? I appreciate it. Thank you much, and live young.